So now your goal will be to create your first agent, or at least to create an agent together. So what's important when you want to create an agent is to find a task that deserves to be automated or standardized. So here there are a lot of elements and context involved. If you're working alone, you already know all the ins and outs, you already know the end goal, and you're already familiar with your tasks. However, if you want to standardize an agent for several people, there are a couple of small methods to consider. Collaboration techniques that I'll share with you throughout this course to really make sure that this agent is very beneficial for you, but also that it benefits your colleagues or your employees as well. So in short, the first thing to do, and what I consider the best method for finding agents, is this. If you don't already know what kind of agent you want to create, simply ask the artificial intelligence. With a mini prompt that I'll provide in the description, you'll have access to this prompt, so I encourage you to make full use of it. There will be much more material than what I'm going to show you here in a small document that you'll get with this video. What's important is to ask the artificial intelligence what kind of agent you could create. The initial method is to clearly state, knowing that my professional position is going to be, and here you could certainly fill in the specific blanks, but I will do it for this example. Let's definitively say, I am a consultant specializing in strategy and comprehensive digital transformation. I can then proceed to ask it a pertinent question. What are the 30 most challenging and difficult tasks? But also here, where is the value in my profession? By separating them into 10 different categories of tasks. So, why am I specifying 30 tasks here? Why am I asking it to separate them into 10 categories? It's because, to be completely honest with you, if you ask artificial intelligence to make a list of the tasks I have to do in my job and you give it the job title, it will give you a list. But the problem is, if I ask it for a list, it will just give me a list. But what is a list really? It could be 2, 3, 15, 20. A list can be anything. On the other hand, by asking it to give you the 30 tasks, that way you really cover a lot. And with your understanding and knowledge of your field, you'll simply be able to say, okay, out of these 30 tasks divided into 10 categories, I know that this category interests me and that this particular task will interest me. That way, it allows you to sort things out and understand exactly where the value lies. So if I look at the AI's response, for example, strategic ad, balancing innovation and technique, okay. Detection of invisible silos. So here, there will be some analysis of the company's mapping, residuals calculation. So here, there will be calculations, ROI calculations. I imagine there will probably also be some risk analysis. I'll spare you the details, but in any case, the idea is that you can keep exploring, keep looking at what this artificial intelligence is going to suggest. And if there's something that interests you, you'll need to select it. So I always encourage you to select several options. That way you can try out one of the solutions. And if you like it, all the better. And if you don't like it, at least you have a backup solution. Contract negotiation, that's not bad either. So here you really have absolutely everything. If I realize in the end that it's not exactly what I wanted or that the AI didn't understand, in fact I said digital transformation, but I forgot to specify the sector, nothing stops you from, going back up and clicking. So as soon as you hover your mouse over the prompt, the message you gave, there's a little pencil icon, and there you can specify digital transformation. And here I'm going to tell it in the industry, specifically the Agri-Food sector, let's say. I'm going to say on the factory side. Why not? Let's see what happens. Because it's completely different to say I work in offices, or I actually work in offices, but in connection with factories and production. It's not the same. And here we're really talking about Industry 4.0 and all that, so we're in a good place. In any case, the AI will redo the work with this understanding of your sector and the context you've added. You can see that it's really not complicated. The goal is not to make things more complex. We need to keep it as simple as possible. One of the big problems I see with AI is that in the end, we want to make things perfect. And by trying to make it perfect, we end up doing nothing. Or we end up doing something that's unworkable, incomprehensible with a, well, let's just ask directly, look, I can do it to show you just how bad of an idea it is. Let's say I need an element, some dark data to set up, to monitor. It's really on the factory side. That's not my area of expertise. I'll take the hop lab innovation. Here, for example, I'm going to tell it, look at this point here. I'm going to say, okay, can you now make me a gem type agent? I just need to explain to it gem type on this topic. Here, I'm going to get something that's going to be incomprehensible, that seems high quality, but won't actually be useful. Because it's nice to have something long, but if I can't modify it by adding my own extensions, in the end, I'm putting myself in a kind of gilded cage that won't necessarily be very useful. So the goal, I'll go back to my previous topic. Actually, I just removed the factory aspect because otherwise I won't have the elements that I know well enough to move forward with it. So now I'm going to choose 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 at most, I would say, because otherwise you'll end up with a list that won't really be too useful. Very useful. I'll take, all right, one item to start with, and I'll begin working and actually thinking about this process. So, for example, I've chosen to reduce the digital carbon footprint because it's an ESG topic. A lot of people are talking about it. I've done quite a few consultations on this. So I think it's interesting, especially in terms of AI. So what I do is I take this topic, I've copied it, and now, once again, I'll be able to give you the prompt. Could you now tell me what the procedure is? So look, I put 2 little dots. For this task, I give it the 2 little dots. I give it the task and I tell it I want. It's really simple. There's no need to make it complicated. I want this. Come on, let's keep it very, very simple. You can see. Here, I tell it what the input data and information are, the analysis that will be produced, and finally, what the deliverables are and the elements that would make it a success. And actually, we launch it with this task. So first, just to see what the AI gives us. Generally, as professionals, we already have a very, very good idea. What will it take to create this agent? What's the operating procedure? But personally, I always like to ask the AI, what do you think? What will be given as input? That way, if there's something I've forgotten or something that might not immediately jump out at me, I still end up with it. So here, what I suggest you do is see if these elements make sense for you. Let's say in my company, for example, hardware inventory doesn't really concern us because in the end, we mostly work with the cloud. So here I mentioned data center. Now I'm thinking, okay, generally, these are the kinds of data I work with. These are pieces of information. These are topics. Let's say it could even be the name of a sector, as you can see. We can make it very complicated or very, very simple. So here I'm thinking providing data centers. That's perfect. That's exactly what we use. And providing usage as well. Let's say those are the 2 elements I need. I write them down. I keep them in mind. Sometimes I even do this. I make a map. I go back a bit to my structure. I mean, knowing that I'm going to give you application maps. So here I can really go into detail because there's no, it's data center, excuse me. I'll take that. But also, and once again, you'll have all the prompts and a whole manual. I'm just doing it in front of you right now. The goal is that afterwards, you can just copy and paste and understand a bit of what's going on, as well as usage data. Now, once again, I'm looking at the analysis that will be produced. Carbon footprint, exactly what I need. I'll be able to tell it, I want you to do the following analysis. I'll say carbon footprint. That's a bit too specific. So for example, I'll say, you can give it examples. So otherwise, you don't have to, you can simply remove it. You'll just need to add in the extensions, what you mean by carbon footprint. So I'll keep it as simple as possible. I'll just copy the title. So here I have carbon footprint. That's exactly what I need. Green maturity analysis. Why not? No, I'll go with efficiency. Architecture efficiency. So I'll copy it again. But also, there you go. And finally, the deliverables. Dashboard, dynamic. I know Gemini can do that. So I'll show you anyway. That way it'll be interesting, I'll say. And I expect you to produce it in HTML. So why am I specifying that? HTML is a little word to ask Gemini. So this will be quite present throughout my course on Gemini, but just be aware of it. If I ask for HTML, it will create for me actually a whole application with the dashboard. So might as well have it done. And I'll tell it diagram, directional, as well as a guide. There you go. I'll ask it as well. We can look at it, but also there you go. Guide, echo, software design. And as you can see, nothing very complicated. Nothing very complicated. What's going to be interesting is that now this work you've done. By the way, if you don't like it, if you find that the procedure doesn't suit you, remember the little pencil. I modify, I add elements. Once that's done, I know this conversation will be saved here, so I can come back to it if I need to. That way, nothing is lost in the end. I am copying what has been generated here, so the operating procedure. I click on Discover the Gems. New gems. And then I simply give him the instructions. Knowing that I'm going to give you this data, I want you to do this. I give it a name. I'm going to call it Demo Consultant RSC. You can see nothing complicated. I save it. So I just copied the instructions, a name. You need a name because otherwise it doesn't work. And I save it. And now just to test it, I'm going to tell it. So I don't have the data yet. Could you do all your tasks, imagining that I've given you all the data to get all the way to the dashboard? It's just for a test. So imagine absolutely everything. Here, it's just to test, in the end, if I had had this data, what could it have produced? So now we're going to see the analysis. So based on the data, it gives me the analysis. I didn't ask for it, but that's okay. Analysis of efficiency. There, it did it. And now it gives me the HTML. I'll explain why this is funny, but in any case, it produced the analysis I wanted. Again, don't forget, if there's something you don't like, nothing stops you from going back and changing it. Extension A, for example, you can see that it gave me the HTML. Actually, what I wanted was for it to create a whole dashboard for me. Look, I go back to the list of words and RS and modify. It's always the same thing. It's this work. As for the extension, I'm going to tell it, if I ask you for HTML, I expect the entire report to be done in HTML and CSS. Actually, it's for the style, the colors, the animations, and all that. I'm going to say, and that you absolutely integrate everything into the report. So there you go. I explained it to it again. I'll give you a little demonstration. You'll see it's quite nice. I click on my agent here to access it, and if I don't see it, remember, discover at the bottom, you can go find it. I give it the prompt again, but this time I just need to activate canvas mode. Otherwise, it won't generate the HTML the way I want, and now I restart it. Actually, that's the work. We keep moving forward. By the way, I also encourage you to incorporate the crowdsourcing aspect. When I say crowdsourcing, I mean that in the end, these agents, afterwards, you can share them, and I'll show you exactly how. Once you've created an agent like this that works for a specific task, you'll be able to share it with your colleagues. And then after that, there will be all the work, the effort of improving and iterating on this agent to really make sure it's perfect and that it's always tailored to your business needs. But as you can see, the complexity doesn't really exist. In the end, the real complexity is whether the person creating the agent can express their needs. Here you can see that with not much complexity, I explained my need and I managed to get my report, my little dashboard, and we'll talk about all the very advanced methods. So this was just an introduction. The goal is to achieve a result of very, very high quality in a very short amount of time. But throughout this course, I will give you methods and strategies to really take full advantage of all these agents, artificial intelligence, so these AI agents, like here, where we created a dashboard in not much time. So here, once again, the goal is to complete all the tasks. Don't forget, you have a whole document and a manual that will be provided along with these videos. To really make sure you can copy and paste everything, track everything, and have all the steps clearly written down, make use of it, try things out, create, experiment. Don't aim for perfection. I'll talk more about this later, but we can even ask the AI, look, ask an AI to take the instructions and make them more readable and structured. But for now, the goal is just to do it. Taking action beats perfection when it comes to AI. So I'll let you get started with this and we'll meet up again later for the next part.